The last slides we discussed the switching and its type circuit switching. Now we are moving on to the packet switching, which is the type of switched networks. In packet switching, the message is divided and grouped into a small number of units called as packets, which are individually routed from source to the destination. Means we have a source and a destination. So the data on source is divided into small pieces or chunks, and these pieces are transferred using different routes to the destination. Let's say we have piece number one, this may take this one route, piece number two may take this route, and piece number 3 may take this route. There is no need to establish a dedicated circuit for communication. In circuit switching, we saw that when two devices communicate with each other, they first establish a dedicated path which cannot be shared with other devices. But in case of packet switching, there is no need of dedicated path or dedicated circuit for communication. So if it is not dedicated, then this path can be shared among many users in the network. So if this path is used by A and B, then this path can also be used by any other device, let's say C. It means that each packet can take a different route to its destination. As I told you, that A is sending some data. So let's say we have three packets. So these three packets can be routed through different routes towards B. Datagram networks. In data communication, we need to send messages from one end system to another system. This is obvious. If the message is going to pass through a packet switched network, it needs to divide the data into packets of fixed or variable sizes. So if we have data, then that data must be divided into some units known as packets, and these can be of fixed size or variable size depending on the requirement of the network. The size of the packet is determined by the network and the governing protocol. In packet switched network, there is no resource reservation. Resources are allotted on demand. There is no dedicated or locked paths for communication. The paths can be shared among different users, and these paths or resources can be allocated on demand whenever required by the hosts for communicating with each other. We have an example figure for datagram network. In this example, here we have four packets which are needed to be transmitted by the source node A to the destination node X. These four packets belong to same message, but these may travel through different paths to reach their destination. This is so because the links may be involved in carrying packets from one source and do not have the necessary bandwidth available to carry all the packets from A to X. This approach can cause the datagrams of the transmission to arrive at their destination out of order with different delays between the packets. Here, the packet number 1 took this route, and reached node X. Packet number 2 took this route, but this route seems to be a bit slower, and this packet number 2 reached at the end. Packet number 4 transmitted earlier than packet number 2 and 3, but it took a speedy route, a shortest route, and it reached just after the packet number 1. In most of the protocols, it is the responsibility of the upper layer protocol to reorder the datagrams or these packets and may ask for lost packets before processing them on the application. Then we have a routing table in a datagram network. So each packet which is transmitted from source to the destination keeps the addresses of source node and the destination node. And these addresses are checked at the router level. Here, at each router, the addresses are checked and the packets are diverted according to the stored addresses in these packets. In this type of network, each switch, which we usually call the router or packet switch, has a routing table which is based on the destination address. The routing table the routing tables are dynamic and are updated periodically. The destination addresses and the corresponding forwarding output ports are recorded in the tables. This is different from the table of circuit switching network in which each entry is created when the setup phase is completed and deleted when the teardown phase is over. Now, if we look into these entries, for each destination entry, there is output port. If you remember in the lab, we studied about this thing. We used the routing protocol. For static routing, we used two important things. The first one was the destination address, and the second one was the gateway, which we recorded on the router. So here, if a packet is reached at this router will check the destination address in that packet and select one output port among these according to its routing table entry for that destination address. Then we have a routing table in a datagram network. So each packet which is transmitted from source to the destination keeps the addresses of source node and the destination node. And these addresses are checked at the router level. Here, at each router, the addresses are checked and the packets are diverted according to the stored addresses in these packets. In this type of network, each switch, which we usually call the router or packet switch, has a routing table which is based on the destination address. The routing table the routing tables are dynamic and are updated periodically. The destination addresses and the corresponding forwarding output ports are recorded in the tables. Now, if we look into these entries, for each destination entry, there is output port. If you remember, in the lab, we studied about this thing. We used the routing protocol. For static routing, we used two important things. The first one was the destination address, and the second one was the gateway, which we recorded on the router. So here, if a packet is reached at this router will check the destination address in that packet and select one output port among these according to its routing table entry for that destination address. A switch in a datagram network uses a routing table that is based on the destination addresses. The destination address in the header of a packet in a datagram network remains the same during the entire journey of the packet. So here the packet number 1 will have destination number of this X, and this destination number would remain same throughout all these routers or all these routes, and at each router the destination address would be checked and appropriate gateway or appropriate output port would be selected to route this packet towards X, which is the destination node. Next thing is delay in the datagram networks. As compared to circuit switch networks, there may be greater delay in datagram networks. Although there is no setup or tear down phases, each packet may experience a wait at a switch before it is forwarded. In addition, there is not all packets in a message necessarily travel through the same switch. The packets may travel through different switches depending on the topology or the layout of the network and also the selection of routes. So the delay is not uniform. Here, if we look into this diagram, the packets may travel through different routers, so the wait time would be also different for different paths at the routers. There are three transmission times, 3T, three propagation delays, and two waiting times. We have three propagation delays and two waiting times. So the total time is till here. This is the total delay. And also in this delay, the processing time is ignored. Switching in the internet is done by using the datagram approach to packet switching at the network layer. Next is virtual circuit networks or virtual circuit switching. A virtual circuit network is a cross between a circuit switch network and a datagram network. It has some characteristics of both. Actually, it is a kind of hybrid of circuit switch networks and packet or datagram networks. In circuit switched network, there is a setup and tear down phases in addition to the data transfer phase. Resources can be allocated during the setup phase as in circuit switch network or on demand as in datagram networks. This figure shows an example of virtual circuit network. The network has switches that allow traffic from source to destinations. A source or destination can be a computer, packet switch, bridge, or any other device that connects other network. In virtual circuit networks, for addressing VCI, virtual circuit identifier is used as a global address, and this can be unique in the scope of the network. A VCI is a small number that has only one switch scope. Now, this VCI is 14 here, so it would be 14 till this switch. After this switch, this VCI would change, or it would have no scope beyond any other switch. When a frame arrives at a switch, it has a VCI. When it leaves it would have different VCI. Note one thing, that a VCI does not need to be a large number, since at each switch this VCI changes and the scope is limited to the individual switches. This figure shows a frame arriving at port 1 with VCI 14. When the frame arrives, the switch looks in its table to find port 1 and a VCI of 14. So here we have port number 1 and VCI 14. Now it would direct this port and VCI contained frame to port number 3 having VCI 22. So this one is port number 3, and the frame would have a new VCI equal to 22. This figure shows how a frame from source A reaches destination B, and how its VCI changes during the trip. Each switch changes the VCI and routes the frame. Now here it is 14. So for 14 VCI, the port number is 3 and VCI is 66. So here this switch has 4 ports. It will choose the output port number 3 and will give VCI equal to 66 to this frame. Again, this switch will look into 66 having port number 1, and it would choose port number 2 as an output port and will change this VCI from 66 to 22. This process creates a virtual circuit, not a real circuit, between the source and destination. So the setup request in a virtual circuit network can be demonstrated with this figure. So here we have some steps. The first one is source A sends a setup frame to switch 1. Switch 1 receives this frame. It knows that a frame going from A to B goes through the port number 3, which is this one port. This switch may have more ports. So according to this table, it knows that port 1 having VCI must have port number 3. Now at this setup phase, the switch acts as a packet switch. It has a routing table which is different from switching table. For a moment, assume that it knows the output port. The switch creates an entry in this table for virtual circuit, but it is only able to fill 3 or 4 columns according to its ports. So the switch assigns the incoming port here and chooses the available incoming VCI and the outgoing port. Now switch 2 here receives the setup request. This is actually the setup request which is generated by A and passed through the switch 1. Now it is at switch 2. The same event happens here again at switch number 2 as happened on switch number 1. The three columns are completed in this table, and the incoming port is 1 here. VCI is now 66 and it is forwarded to port number 2, which is the outgoing port. At switch 3, the setup request frame, again 3 columns are completed: incoming port, incoming VCI, and outgoing port. So next time these 3 columns will be used for communication. The destination B receives the setup frame. If it is ready to receive frame from A, it assigns a VCI to the incoming frame that from A. In this case, 77 is assigned to VCI. This VCI lets the destination know the frames come from A and not other sources. So next time if B receives a frame having VCI 77, it would assume that the frame is received from A. Next thing is the setup acknowledgement. So the request is transmitted from A to B. Now B has to acknowledge. The destination sends an acknowledgement to switch 3 in reverse. Acknowledgement carries the global source and destination addresses to the switch. So the switch knows which entry in the table is to be completed. So this time the switch completes this VCI by putting 77 here. Last time this was kept empty. Again, it forwards the acknowledgement to switch number 2. So this 22 VCI was present in the previous step. It was filled actually. So it will append this VCI with the acknowledgement frame towards the switch number 2. Switch number 2 will fill this VCI here. It was not present in the previous step. So this one got filled now. And in the same way, switch 2 will put 66 VCI with the frame according to this table which was previously entered, and this would be transmitted to switch 1, and ultimately the acknowledgement would be received by A. In virtual circuit switching, all packets belonging to the same source and destination travel the same path, but the packets may arrive at the destination with different delays if resource allocation is on demand. Now let's talk about the delay in a virtual circuit network. There is one time delay for setup and one time delay for tear down. This delay is for setup and this one is for tear down, and this would be the total delay. If the resources are allocated during the setup phase, there is no wait time. In previous case of datagram networks, we had delay here, that was waiting time. So here in this case there is no waiting time. Here we have two switches and three transmission times. So there is a bit sloping line. This is due to the data transfer, and this also includes the propagation delay in both the directions. So the total delay would be the setup delay plus tear down plus 3 transmission times. So this was all about switching. In this lecture, we studied about switching, types of switching, circuit switching, packet switching, datagram switching, and virtual circuit switching. If you have any question, you can put your comments in the KCMS. Thank you.